Hello and welcome to another episode of Devlin's Pirate Radio Show. And welcome. I am here. I'm excited because I am not alone. I have a co-host. And I always get excited when I have a co-host because I like talking. You know me, I like talking, but sometimes I like to take a break and let other people talk. And I know this guy can talk because we've had lots of nice long chatters. No surprise, I met this guy through improv. By this point, you should pretty much figure almost every guest I have has probably come from the staircase or someone. I remember teaching him, and one day he came up to me and he asked me if I could help him with his improv, like in between classes and stuff. And I said yes. I had never done that before, but I was honored. I was just honored somebody wanted to, like, learn from me even more. And so, you know, we did that. We had a lot of fun doing that. We created some incredible stuff. And then during one of the breaks, and I'm going to totally butcher this story, but we're going to get back and he can tell you, I almost said your name. He can tell you the right way, but I'm going to butcher this a bit. But basically he was telling me what he hoped to accomplish in his life, as in he had an idea of how he wanted to be, and it was kind of like he wanted to be, and again, I'm going to butcher this, but he can clear that up, kind of he wanted to be like removed from emotion and kind of removed from people. Like he wanted to still be there, but he didn't want that connection to people or something. Again, I'm probably butchering it, but he can defend himself. And then I remember telling him, and he probably even remembers this moment, I said, "Why did you ask me to teach you improv? I'm the exact opposite. I connect to everything. I try to bond with everything." And I think that we came up and then we had these long, we really talked deep. He's like a person, we really go deep. And I don't know if we'll get that deep tonight, but we will see. But anyhow, I'm going to introduce him because he hasn't talked yet. This is Alex Schneider.
Greetings all. Happy to be here. And for the record, I know I've said this several times, possibly to Devlin himself, I can't remember if I have, but the reason why I would say that, I mean, the whole coming for improv advice, there's a bigger story there, and we will get to that in due time. But the reason I think Devlin and I mesh so well is because though we end up in very opposite corners of this spectrum of emotions, wanting to do whatever, we start off from a very same point. Not more than once I have said that he mirrors me very much in the way we see things, we see relationships, we see people. Mm-hmm. But you know, mirrors are standing opposite of each other, even though they're fundamentally the same.
So, did I get what you were going for? Like, I did a very paraphrasing of not being connected. Like, we're going back to when we first had this talk. Was that close? Right. Was I close?
More or less, yeah.
I know it was the Coles Notes Reader's Digest version of it. But.
Yeah. Essentially, it grew out of some stuff I was going through at the time, and then my fascination with things that are beyond the sphere of day-to-day human life, and my desire to explore these greater things in the universe while being less shackled by the mundanities of daily life and the emotional ties that bind.
It was kind of had to do with Watchmen, right? There was a character in Watchmen.
Yes, the character of Dr. Manhattan is the one that I wanted to identify most with, even though obviously I couldn't because he no longer identifies with anyone. But it's that sense of you're breaking out of the emotional things that kind of like blind you, and you're removing yourself from that and seeing the bigger picture of the universe, seeing that in the grand scheme of things, the trivial stuff that we go through in our everyday lives doesn't really matter all that much. It does from a certain perspective, but from what I like to call the cosmic perspective, so if you take the universe as a whole, you know, all the millions, trillions of stars, and then you know, all the empty space in between, it's really insignificant. It's less than nothing. So to get even like a little bit out of the human stuff and into the universe stuff, that's where I wanted to be. Again, from the perspective of just being able to contemplate that and think about it. I like philosophy. I like that sort of stuff, and also to kind of escape from the emotional stuff that maybe I wasn't dealing with as well. I didn't want to deal with as well because I found this other stuff more fascinating. That's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to create a divide. I wanted to have. I viewed it in terms of circles, where it was me. And I had like one circle in which there may have been like my family, obviously, maybe some close friends were like in an outer circle, and beyond that, just the rest of the world like was just the outside, and I was detached from it, still able to observe it, still able to enjoy it when possible, but ultimately not chained to it. That would be the ideal state. And obviously, it's easier said than done.
And then he met a train wreck emotionally like me, and we wound up finding a beautiful little communication thing. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to use a segment to talk about that, but right now I'm going to get to know you a bit.
Okay.
Because people have now said, wow, this guy's either deep or this guy's crazy as a loon. But they say that about me every week, so it's all good. I think it's awesome. And we'll get to why you think that way, too, because you studied a lot of that stuff. Where were you born? Let's start with. And remember, even if I know this stuff, just answer it, because they're getting to know you. I know you already.
Okay. Well, I was not born on this continent. I was born in a place called Romania, which is in Europe, Eastern Europe, in 1998. And I came here when I was 9 years old. Came here with my mom and my dad. I was raised by my grandmother. And obviously that was a big separation when we had to leave her behind for a while and come to Canada, but eventually she did join us, and now we're all together.
Now, do you have lots of memories of Romania? Like,
yeah, a fair amount.
9, you'd have
a fair amount. Like I would have done like 2.5 years of school there already. Lots of memories of just hanging out with the kids in the neighborhood. I was way more outdoorsy than I am today, I can tell you that much. I was outside from dawn till dusk, pretty much.
Is it a beautiful country? I really don't know. I should look it up on.
So the city that I was born in is called Brasov, which is in Transylvania, actually. So yes, I am Transylvanian.
I'd totally be starting with that. I'm from Transylvania.
Yeah, yes. There's it's beautiful countryside. We do have the mountains. Their name escapes me in the moment. I'm terrible with geography, but I remember because I lived with my grandmother in Brasov, and then my parents were in the capital of Bucharest, and to get there, you had to basically take a train, and it went through the mountains. I think they were the Carpathian Mountains.
And they would go through it? That's beautiful. That would be awesome.
Yeah. And there was a kind of a more wilderness kind of park area. There's actually, if I remember correctly, a escarpment type setup in Brasov as well, where you kind of like went up a little hill, and there was like more stuff there, and it was like more outdoorsy, like more woodsy stuff as well. So I don't remember too much about that because, again, the majority of my life was either spent around my grandmother's apartment, around my parents' apartment in Bucharest. So I can tell you lots of stuff about, where the streets were and where the parks were in that area, but maybe not so much about the larger geography of the land.
So you lived with your grandmother, and your parents were...
Yeah, my parents were working in the capital. They came over on the weekends. Sometimes we would go over there.
Was that common there for people, like to work in the city, and then you were separated from your family?
Sometimes. I had one other friend that lived with her grandparents. I'm not sure where her parents were. Actually, they may have been separated, and one of them may have even been in Germany. I don't remember that much. I can't comment as to the commonness of the setup. I think it turned out fairly well.
Absolutely. So when you came to Canada, was there a culture shock, or did you have a hard time, or did you already know English?
I didn't know English, so my first time was coming over here was just like it was it was very emotionally troubling because I had to leave my grandmother, I had to leave everything I know, so that was kind of scary. Like, okay, I was with my parents, so of course that mitigated it a bit.
No brothers and sisters?
No, only child. But yeah, and I remember, oh jeez. Okay, so I remember we left at night because we took a train to Budapest, and then from there we flew out to Amsterdam, and then across the ocean to Toronto. So we left in the middle of the night, and I remember before we left, E.T. was actually on the TV. So I barely remember anything from the movie. I just remember, I do remember like the E.T., like the actual, alien. And E.T. phone home, all that, I just know the memes later on. I remember the alien, but not anything about what happened. Because I was watching the movie, but of course I was really paying attention to the movie. And there was one family that lived okay, because our building was it had like multiple. Think of it like a bunch of apartment buildings squished together into like one like bigger building. So you had like multiple entrances, like a separate apartment like quadrants in each thing. Anyway, in our quadrant, let's say, there was another family that was like close to us, and then they had a daughter that I hung out with sometimes. And I remember they were there the night we left, so I got to say goodbye to them. But then, of course, saying goodbye to all of them, like, I didn't want to go. Like, please don't make me go. Very traumatic, to be honest. And friggin' E.T. was on the TV.
Which is kind of a sad movie if you're leaving everything you know behind.
Yeah, so that was very much.
I think even visually, even if it was on was it in Romanian when you?
I can't remember if there were like subtitles or if it was actually dubbed. But I think it was on TV.
That's one of those movies that I think kind of translate even if you had the sound down. Type thing.
Yeah. So yeah, leaving amidst that was just a big emotional blur, and I was crying, my grandma was crying, everyone was crying.
Was it hard?
We got to go.
Was it hard for you to learn English? Because you're one of the most. When I met you, you're a very articulate person. Like when you did your improv, you were always coming up with you're great with dialogue, and to hear that you didn't even know English when you were 9 years old, you must have learned it incredibly fast.
No, and I guess I would have to give a shout out to my English ESL teacher, Mrs. Spring.
She's listening
way back in Stinson Street School, the class of 1997, or well, no, I guess it would have been 99 when I finished grade 5, whatever. Yeah, I came here, and then my first week, I didn't, because I guess they were still enrolling me at school, and I didn't really do anything. And then when I did get to school, okay, now again, coming here, there was already a family of our friends that lived here, and we lived with them for a week until we got our own place in their apartment, and then I started going to school. So one, I had the support of okay, yeah, there was still their daughter that was kind of, she didn't really teach me English, but it was still more of a familiar face because I remembered her from Romania, more familiar kid face, but not just the adults. And then going to school, didn't know a lick of English, and going into ESL class. Everyone seemed kind of nice, but what really helped me is that, again, Mrs. Spring was an awesome, terrific teacher, and there were 2 other Romanian students in that class, and they were able to kind of help me out.
Oh, nice. That helps.
When I didn't understand something, or when I was they were able to be okay, it's this, and this. But in terms of I guess being my brain being verbally inclined and wanting to create in the word sense, I think I've always had that, because even in I remember one of the ESL exercises was actually to create a little story based on this one this one prompt, this one idea. They gave you the first sentence, and you're supposed to write a few more sentences and make a story out of it. And the story that I remember, it was Duckzilla attacks. So it was, I guess it's supposed to be a giant duck, right? That was just Duckzilla.
I thought you said Dougzilla.
Dougzilla.
Some guy named
just
Doug?
a guy named Doug. Yeah.
Okay, Dougzilla.
That would be funny too. Duckzilla. But of course, there was a sense of maybe a cultural gap where it's okay, I didn't really associate Dougzilla. I didn't associate the concept of having a giant duck be Duckzilla. I just caught on to that last part, Zilla, and possibly because I just wanted to write about the thing. But of course, I remembered Godzilla, right? And like that's like I had seen that one in Romania too. So even though the thing said Duckzilla, the giant duck is attacking whatever, I was like, but actually he's a T-Rex, because like I was thinking more Godzilla, and then I wrote like a whole page about how like, you know, the Duckzilla, which is actually a T-Rex, he comes in and like destroys the town, and then I fly in with my jet and shoot it, and whatever.
And this is a story you wrote.
And this is a story I wrote in grade 9, so I mean, I'm sure it's not going to win any Pulitzers, but
you know, when I asked Alex to come on the show, he was worried that he would not have anything to offer. I'm sure there's many people going, they had Godzilla in Romania? See, you already got a tidbit that I'm thinking about, just picturing
yes, they did.
Dubbed in Romania.
They also had the X-Files, Star Trek: The Next Generation, both of which I watched fairly religiously. Can't remember a single episode, but I did watch them religiously.
You have now just made like our super fan Jen. Like, come on, you mentioned Star Trek: Next Generation, and I mentioned her, so she's wet right now.
I'm pretty sure. Shout out to Jen. I'm pretty sure I've told her the story about my Star Trek experience, because I'm sure, being a fan, she's asked me.
She's probably buying the Romanian tapes of that now, because there'll be something different in it. You know?
No, probably.
But that's great. So was school always easier for you now, or did you?
Well, school was easier. Because, and this is something that if you hang around immigrants at any length, you're going to probably hear this a lot, especially immigrants who have kids that bring them over and then come here, is that they will just shit on the school system here. And I'm not going to get into the politics of the school system, because maybe there's problems, maybe there's not. But I will say that in Romania, even the time, like I was there for all of grade 1, I think part of grade 2. And yeah, the stuff they had us doing there, like, was miles above. Like, we were already, I'm not gonna say we were already, like, you know, doing calculus or anything, but no, we were studying geography. We were definitely doing like more advanced math, and just like, oh, memorize. Like, oh, well, here's a classic example. Like, as far as math goes. In grade 1, you're already supposed to memorize like they call them the multiplication tables. Like kids these days, whatever, they just pull out a calculator, or I guess their smartphones now, and be like, but yeah, 2 times 7. Like they'll pull that out for 2 times 7. No, we have to memorize that stuff right from grade 1. Meanwhile, I'm coming in here and I'm coming to grade 3, and it's like, glue this thing onto this thing and point to the picture of the dog. I was like, okay, so it was. I mean, until after, like, as I like started overcoming the language barrier, school just started becoming a joke, because
I
had already been
macaroni hats that we made. You know, glue the macaroni on the.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like that sort of stuff does stay with you. Well, I mean, maybe it did, because you know, learning to make a good, nice, artistic thing may help you in your presentations. Of course, now everyone just uses PowerPoint, so yeah, it's sort of obsolete. But that's just the times. So
when you went to university, what did you study? You studied some deep things. This is what got you thinking, right?
Oh no, I was thinking way before that.
Yeah, okay. But what did you take? Because I know it was pretty heavy.
Well, I mean, I started out in commerce, but then I just couldn't take the accounting. I just hated accounting, so I switched to philosophy. And that's what I have my Bachelor of Arts in philosophy. Graduated in 2011.
And do you question everything because of that, or but you were doing that before?
No, yeah, pretty much. So how I got into the questioning everything thing actually happened in grade 7. I think. Okay, I'm not going to speculate because I don't remember the thing. But what had happened was I was in a value village, and I happened to see Jurassic Park, the novel. Now, obviously, I had seen, like, Jurassic Park was maybe the first movie I've seen in theaters in Romania. So I was seeing, oh, hey, it's a book of that movie that I love. Sure, I'll take it. So, like, I read it. It was good. And the next time I was there, I saw another book by the same author, Michael Crichton, which is probably still my favorite author to this day. He rests in peace. One of my greatest regrets is that I never got to meet him, because unfortunately he succumbed to cancer a few years ago. I saw another book by him called Sphere.
Sorry, I'm giggling, because if this leads to the movie, I think I might know where you're going.
Well, there's a movie. There's a movie of Sphere as well, starring Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone, and Samuel L. Jackson. It's good, not as good as the book. And this book, again, reading it at grade 7, really kind of blew my mind, because Like, it was about imagination and the power of imagination, the dangers of imagination, but it was also like at one point the character, like one of the characters sits down and basically starts explaining astrophysics. Because if you haven't read Mike Crichton books, they're kind of techno thrillers, like they take new and crazy technological ideas of the time and kind of make a novel around them. So this one character just sits down and explains, you know, the concept of space-time, right, and how space and time are aspects of the same thing, and you know, gravity is like if space-time is like a rubber sheet and you put down like a bowling ball in it, that dent is what gravity is, and then black holes make tears in that dent. Like, very layman, but of course to a grade 7, that was like, what the hell did I just get? Because at grade 7, like what are you doing? Like back then, you're like, maybe you're just getting into music, maybe you're just starting to notice that, like, hey, those chicks look kind of nice. Although I was noticing before that.
I didn't go through that.
But, well,
I know what
you start noticing, you know, some of the things, or maybe get into sports, or maybe you get to whatever, but, like, you're still just, what you see is what you get, right? Yeah. Like, with kids. Like, maybe you're imagining, you know, comic book things, or whatever, but, like,
you're reading some heavy
it's fairly, and then to come this thing and just be like, okay, like, what you think about the universe is actually super crazy and way more good, and there's way more stuff out there. That was just like, whoa. It blew my mind, and from that point onwards, I wanted to know more. Unfortunately, I didn't have the math skills, or maybe just the effort. I'm kind of lazy when it comes to homework, so I didn't have the effort, whatever, let's just say that, to go into like science and actually, you know, become an astrophysicist. But the notion of wondering what's out there and like the seed of finding out about the universe and exploring it was planted then. So when I, you know, fast forward to grade 11, when philosophy comes out, which was the first time I took philosophy. And that was like, okay, well, here's some people who've like tried to like explain what you know, what is the world, what is reality, what is whatever, and other questions too, like what is truth, what is all that. Here's how, like, you know, here's all these questions that have been asked. Here's also people that ask, like, what do you think about this? That was heaven for me. I took it in grade 11. I took it in grade 12. My grade 12 teacher almost killed it for me, because in grade 12 they go through all this like university prep thing, like prepare for university, you have to do the thing, and being a history teacher, she was all like, oh, you know, if you want to write like papers and essays or whatever, you have to have like all the sources, and when you get to university, kids, you better cite everything, because nobody's going to care what you say. They're only going to care that you can regurgitate what some other guy who's freaking dead for 300 years has said. And that just killed it for me, because like I was in heaven, like I was like bubbling, and my head was exploding with all these questions and all these like theories and all this. Like I made a theory of everything in grade 12. Maybe it's not going to hold up to academic scrutiny, but I did it. And for you to then come out and tell me, okay, yeah, if you continue with this, nobody's going to care what you think. It's not going to matter. All you're going to have to do is regurgitate what some other asshole has said. No, like that, I can't do that. I was like, I'm never taking philosophy in university again, because I cannot do that. Like, you cannot tell me my opinion doesn't matter when it comes to this shit. Thankfully, she was very wrong, because I had in my first year, like my first semester in university, I had taken an elective, so I was like, okay, well, I'll try some philosophy. If it's really as bad as she made it, then I guess I'm done forever, but I have to take an elective, so it might as well be something that I at least can try to enjoy. And thankfully, she was very, very wrong. Philosophy is awesome. You can totally get away with essentially bullshitting as long as you know how to do it and you're interested in doing it via that questioning and always coming up with things. And that not only saved my sanity and my interest in philosophy, it also saved my university career, because when commerce didn't work out, I had a backup plan.
And we got together, and after doing a little bit of improv, and then when we started talking, we realized that, boy, we think a lot. Even though we think differently, there was a lot of similarities. We're going to take a short break, and we're actually going to talk a little bit about some of those deep moments, if you're okay with that.
All right, after these messages.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm here with my co-host tonight, Alex Schneider. How are you feeling? You enjoying this?
Oh, good. Just staying cool and tuning in.
That's good. He's actually come on a day when we have our studio a little more in disarray. I think he thought we might be like getting him to move stuff, but yeah, we have to do stuff for the landlord, so we had to move things around. But that's okay. We can still do a show. So we're going to talk a little deep. Now, you and I always talk deep. Not always. We have a lot of laughs.
We often get there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it goes there, and we've gone really dark. So I don't think we will in the 20 minutes we have, or 20 plus, whatever we do. But as I said, we both had kind of different philosophies. You wanted to kind of be... you kind of explained at the beginning. You wanted to be kind of... like, you kind of just thought, we're just dust in the wind, Kansas. Where I said, but I think we're important dusts of the wind. And we realized that we actually had similar ideas, but we kind of were... how would you explain it? We were looking at them from a different way, maybe?
Yeah, we came at them from opposite ends. I mean, we both feel very deeply, but how we deal with that is then you split apart. I want to eliminate that, remove that, so that I don't have issues in the future. I don't get hurt. I don't whatever, and I can be free to do my other stuff. Whereas you seem to embrace it and relish it. Honestly, even
I do. Yeah.
Even when it's like darker. And maybe you don't feel so good as a result of it, you still seem to find way more value in having that regardless.
Yeah. Even if it hurts me, I'll still keep doing it.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting, because I think that's when we really became closer, because we realized, wow, we really think similar, but it's different. And do you remember that day when I said, why did you ask me to help? Out of all the improv teachers, you picked the person who was your exact opposite. And then I think when we discussed it, that's when we realized that we were a lot closer than we did. Because I think what it means is we may have different ways of thinking about it, but we are... I just had a brilliant... I hate when you have a brilliant idea and it pops right out of your head.
You're trying to...
We both analyze it way too much. That's it.
Yes, we do.
Right, and you analyze it to a way of like being, disconnected to people, emotions, connect, and I want to embrace it. Now, what I wanted to bring that up is because one of the last times I talked to you, you had a major event happen in your life where your grandmother... it was your grandmother that passed away.
Yep.
And this was your first really close person in your life that... was this the grandmother that raised you, or from the other side?
No, it was the grandmother from the other side. It was... a loss as such that I've never felt before. And one of the things I remember thinking was, it brought to light one of the things I can't remember if I said before, but I've definitely said since. There's with my very analytical brain, very wanting to find the logic and reason and structure things very scientifically. There's rational kind of knowledge, and then there's emotional knowledge. So rational knowledge, of course, we all die, everyone's going to die. It's just a fact of life. You rationally know this because you just observe it around you, you have evidence for it, there's no question about it. But the emotional knowledge of someone someone you care about actually passing away doesn't really come in until it happens. And when it does happen, that rational knowledge kind of doesn't even matter anymore.
It kind of blew your doors off.
It did, and that may be part of the reason why even before I was trying to get away with it. Maybe like I didn't think of it in those terms before then, but maybe I was subconsciously aware of it. That like, okay, I can detach myself in order to fully use rationality, because this emotion stuff is just going to wash over that regardless, and there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. Like, I can rationalize things to some extent, but if it's just a tidal wave, there's just nothing I can do. And that was the case.
Now, I do, before you go on to that, I want to clear up that I did ask Alex, if we could talk about this. I did not side guard him with this because I know this was a really big thing for him.
I consented to this exchange.
Yes, he consented to it, and I told him the reason I'm not trying to exploit his going through stuff, but all of you people who followed me know that last year I went through some stuff, and I think there's probably a point in my head, but I don't know if anybody else will see it. But I'm very intrigued because this happened to you, 2 years last year? Was it last year?
It's going up on 3 years. It was 2013, I believe, November into December.
Yeah,
13th actually.
And when we talked about it, I thought it was a really big turning point in your life, and I was so happy that you're going to talk about it. Again, I'm not using it to exploit you. I'm using it because I think it's important, because I think other people go through this, and the first big death is always a hard one.
Yeah. It was, and it was because that's stuff that, the emotional thing just washes over the rational. I mean, I experienced that from anything to just stuff I was feeling on a day-to-day basis to my overall theories of how I saw life and how I wanted to see life. If you recall my theory about detachment, and then in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Nothing we do here matters because the universe just goes on, and we're less than specks. Okay, that's cool and all, but that did not help me one bit when it came to dealing with this.
That's what I loved when you said that, because here you pretty much figured out life, and then when that happened, I remember you even said, suddenly none of this gave me any kind of comfort. We may be specks, but boy, do we hurt as specks.
the fact that shit doesn't matter didn't matter. It was the cosmic irony of all time. What I had then, getting these two things synthesized from that, is that, yes, you have the cosmic perspective in which nothing matters, nothing that we do matters, but we can't live at the cosmic perspective. I can't, even though I want to, look to the stars and always try to figure out what's out there in the universe, it doesn't matter. I can't live life like that. I have to go back to the mundane every day when I go to work, when I deal with friends, when I deal with family. You have to go back to your personal perspective, and as I've just said, the personal perspective is going to get hammered by these emotional moments, by these great losses, and there's nothing you can do about it. These two perspectives, they're you have them, but they're together, but they're kind of separate. And ultimately, your personal perspective then comes back in and makes things matter again. And I think that's the conclusion that I came to. As much as maybe I would not have wanted to come to that conclusion, over 3 years ago, I came to the conclusion that matters, because cosmic perspective, nothing matters, great and all, but you have to live in the personal perspective. And the personal perspective is going to yank you around, it's going to throw stuff at you, and you have to deal with it. So, even though my grandmother's death does not matter to the scale of the universe, it matters to me. And there is no escaping that, and quite frankly, I can't even imagine trying to escape that. So, whereas 3 years ago I would have said, yeah, cosmic perspective, none of this matters, just don't worry about it. Now I have to say, I realize how unhelpful that is, because we make things matter to ourselves, and we have to make things matter to ourselves because that's how we're wired.
Do you think it changed you?
It made me more aware. Do I still yearn for that detachment? Yes, obviously. But it's been driven home to me more so now than before that goal is ultimately unattainable, and you have to deal with the personal. You can't really escape it. There was more I wanted to say on that, but maybe you can...
Just like I was talking about when you have a point, and then you disappear.
What happened here is I had two diverging points. I wanted to say this thing, and I wanted to go to this other branch and say this thing, but then I completely forgot what this other branch was. So, if maybe you had another question? Or
what I was just going to say was, what was odd about this is I remember when we first talked about this after your grandmother passed, and how it kind of threw, you still had your perspective, like you said, but you had a new way of, wow, I didn't expect to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Last year, when I went through my hard stuff, I was trying to push away. Like, I was trying to detach, and I found it very hard. You've seen that I've been stepping away from things, improv, and I was I was still trying to keep friends and family, but I was literally trying to push away people.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time with that, and I sense I have a new, I don't know if you know, I have a new I don't care philosophy, which actually means I care more. You check out my site. These people have listened to it enough. I've even given progress reports on it. I think it's working for me, but every once in a while I still get that old, I obviously care. It's just not my nature. But I found it weird that you and I almost went through these things do matter, and I went through I really need to I want to be all by myself on an island somewhere and not fall in love with people and have them break my hearts and stuff.
But here's another irony in that situation. I'm saying that you don't want to deal with this emotional stuff at this personal level. You want to contemplate the universe and get to and kind of get away from that. But then the way you actually detach and the way you actually move these emotional burdens aside is usually not through contemplation at all. At least not for me. Maybe some people do it. Maybe I just don't do enough contemplating, or maybe some people meditate or whatever. But I distract myself, and I distract myself with other mundane things, usually entertainment. And with the other things, like if I maybe go less philosophic and more just kind of like, this is kind of like what I do to deal with stuff, and what more of an advice type, what I think life should be. Is definitely focusing on entertainment. One of the things I have said to death probably is life's short, amuse yourself. Of course, that didn't help either when it came down to it, when my grandmother passed away. And then also, to maybe get it a little bit off the personal level, I don't mind talking about this, but I also, believe it or not, took it obviously not as hard, because grandmother, personal example, but I was also very moved by when Robin Williams died, and that also kind of shook my, life short, amuse yourself type of thing a little bit, because, I'm saying life short, amuse yourself, and here's a man who spent his entire life amusing other people, like just amusing the shit out of them. If you've ever seen a stand-up, you know what I'm talking about.
That would be our line for the day. Amuse the shit out of them. I like that.
Yet, when he came to himself, he still wasn't, fulfilled. I mean, he had, I read a bit about it. He had, I think some, mental health issues, I believe.
I think he did.
So I think there was, there were some, medical things going on there too. But like, I remember, and maybe I'm butchering this quote, but he said something to the effect of, being alone is not the worst thing in the universe. What is the worst thing in the universe is being surrounded by people and feeling like you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think he said some.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I think it was him. I think you're right.
And that again kind of spoke right to me.
Have you ever felt like that?
Yes, as the perpetual person on the sidelines in most gatherings of large people, or even medium-sized people, anything that's not my family or my close friends, I'm always on the sidelines. I've talked to some people about this. I've definitely felt that. If I just blink out of existence right now, this scene will play out exactly the same way.
I feel that way sometimes too, and I kick myself too, because there are times, and I don't know, I think maybe it's because I've never been diagnosed with anything, but I think sometimes maybe I probably have something, because I do feel alone, and I feel guilty about it sometimes, because I do look at my life and say I've got so many wonderful friends and family, and there's still times where I just feel like I'm constantly, I need, people to tell me they love me and stuff like that, and I feel, and I feel guilty because I know there's people in the world that don't have that, and I'm like, how come I can't be happy? I see this, I see it. And it's still, it just doesn't seem to be enough, and it just makes me feel guiltier because I feel like I'm an asshole because I'm getting all this stuff, but it's like I don't, I don't know if I don't deserve it or I don't. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I do, and I turn that inward to myself as well sometimes, and with the I really should be happy with what I got. I got a great family that loves me to death. My grandmother's still here; she loves me to death. If for better or worse, I got friends that I hang out with. Every week. I've got right now I've got a fantastic job, and there's definitely people that have less things than me, but it's that emotional or irrational thing side that you can't really control, and I don't like things affecting me that I can't control. That's maybe just a personal hang-up. I want to at least if I can't control things outright, I want to at least be able to control the way I approach them such that I achieve success in whatever the goal is, whether it be mitigation, whether it be some greater outcome, whatever. And I don't like it when that's not an option. So,
I don't know why this popped in my head, or we've never talked about this, but because I think we're a lot similar than we think we are, but we do just analyze everything to death. That's why we have the long talks, because we're just analyze every little piece, and it's like, oh, I like somebody who does this, because you don't get to do that with a lot of people.
No.
But I never thought about it. Wouldn't it be wonderful and maybe a little weird if you and I could switch bodies for one day and look at the perspective of the other person, but still have our own thought process? Wouldn't it be weird? Would that be weird? Yeah, wouldn't it be weird?
Yeah, we'll call it Manic Monday.
Manic Monday, yeah, we'll do it, yeah. But I think you would be somebody interesting to pop in. I don't know, you might think it'd be weird, and I'm not thinking sexual or anything, pop into your body when I say that.
Yeah.
Of course, when I was in your body, you'd be wondering why you're checking out guys more, but that's just me helping you out.
Yeah.
And I'd be checking out. Oh, wait, I do check out cleavage, so there's no difference there.
So you're not thinking literally you just become me and I become you. You're thinking you hitch a ride in my brain for a day and then
I'm in there, but we kind of share the same body.
That's kind of interesting.
Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah, no.
And then you look at something, and I'll tell you how I look at it, and it would be kind of interesting because it'd be similar, but it would be oh, I never thought of that.
That would be interesting. I feel like
we can't do this. I know you're thinking of trying to figure out a machine of how we could do this, but I think it would be very interesting.
If I just get my notebook now.
I never thought I'd be talking about body switching with anybody, but not surprised it's with you that I'm.
I think if that happened, one of two outcomes would occur. Either we would just solve every problem ever, at least maybe not every problem in the world, but every problem we've ever had collectively. Yeah. Or we would just be at a standstill and not function.
Yeah, that's true.
Because either our way of analyzing things and our way of looking at things would merge, and multiply and just be better because coming at it from both angles is solving the problem that much faster. Or it'd just be at odds, and then we'd kind of pull.
Yeah. What do you think we would be? I'm interested because I'm also thinking. Imagine two people over-analyzing the situation. Now we can hit more ways to analyze something. Do you think we'd learn to work together, or do you think we'd be combust in a 24-hour period.
No, it wouldn't be a matter of conflict. I think we would work well together, but the overanalyzing and the over introspection and self whatever, that's what would still kind of lock us down.
Yeah.
We'd just be spending on a loop.
Yeah, I agree with you. And on a lighter note, I don't think I could masturbate for 24 hours because am I fondling you or is it me or? Yes, I went there. Come on,
I honestly think at that point we could just dispense with the typical boundaries because there really are no boundaries anymore. I mean, there's physically no boundaries.
Okay, so like we'd just be like.
Yeah.
You up for it?
Okay. We just need to get 2 monitors going. You can have your men on the left side, and I'll have a woman on the right side, or we can swap, or whatever, or hell, I'm sure there's something out there that maybe like it crosses enough of both lines such that we would both enjoy it. I'm sure it exists.
Wow, I love this thought. See, I told you it wasn't going to be all deep. I still managed to make it around playing with myself. Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to play some nasty things. And if you don't know how to play, that's fine. This is something new we've just started. It's a game, but I thought it actually makes a better podcast game than anything. Are you up for it?
Sure.
All right. He's just excited now.
I'm still excited. I'm still working out the split screen situation. So
yes, we're going to talk more body switching on our break. So we'll be back. And we are back. And this is still Devlin. Alex has not found a way to get into my body yet. Oh, that sounds kind of kinky, doesn't it?
Yeah, well,
I'm very welcoming.
It's part 3. You know, the third part of the trilogy.
It is the segment. Yes, we do 3 segments here. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we played a game. I have to give it credit. It's not me. It's the game of nasty things, and I played it with superfan Jen. She's earned that right because she's like one of the only people I know that not only listens to every episode, but we have a segment called Topics Teaserama that you should drop by for sometime.
Sure.
And she actually will go on YouTube and give all her answers of what she thought of those topics as well. So that's why we call her super fan. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this because it was kind of fun and we agreed that this should be a regular thing. So you'll ask a question, or me, and we'll go back and forth and just answer honestly and have fun with it.
Okay.
Unless it's really like a dirty question, you don't want to give the honest answer, you can lie. Nobody's going to judge us. Do you want me to go first? Okay, you pick one and I'll answer it. I should be nice since I'm the host.
Okay, well, this is things it's fun to do with more than 2 people.
There's lots of stuff that's good to do with multiple people. Sometimes. Okay, I know you guys all want dirty answers, but let's build to that, people. I find that it's more fun to play like a board game with more people. You know what I mean? Like even like a Monopoly to a Cards Against Humanity. It's more fun to have lots of people to play that. You know, Twister.
Yep.
Not that I don't think you can play with 14 people, but boy, would that be fun, wouldn't it? Just put a whole bunch of
You have to get a larger than regulation size mat, I think, but you can make it work.
You know, I always thought the Twister, you could have like, you put it as a bed sheet and then do it on a bed. Like that's a little tip to spice up your sex lives out there. Would that work?
It might, given that for
could it be dangerous?
Well, it would depending on who you play with. It might be the closest some people get to actually getting closer to people. In fact, I can't take credit for that idea. That was, I think, a College Humor video, or it was like, or Honest Twister commercial, where it turned out like it's the only way you'll actually ever get to touch fondle things. Yes, that was the word I was looking for.
Do you want to answer this one, or get your own card to start?
Well, the thing I was thinking about this one when I read it was correcting grammar, because things it's fun to do with more than 2 people. I just kind of stumbled when I said it because it would be like things that are fun to do with more. The it's kind of threw me off when I was reading it, so maybe that's why I sounded a little weird. That's why I'm sounding a little weird right now, because I keep going on about this. Let's move on.
All right, we'll move on. Let's have yours. Things you keep locked up. Do you have anything personal? Boy, we're really learning about Alex Schneider tonight.
Things I keep locked up.
If you don't have anything, things
Well,
you think you should keep locked up.
Well, no, I was thinking... No, they're dead now.
Okay, you can't just, like... You gotta explain what you were thinking of. You can't just say, they're dead now.
Well,
It's just a pet or relatives or friends that you used
I'm going to leave that to the imagination.
So you have nothing you lock up?
Well, actually, I haven't ridden my bike in years, but even though it's in our shed, I still have the bike lock around the rear tire.
All right.
Always put your bike lock around the rear tire because the front tire can be taken off so easily. Not that I know this, I don't steal bikes or anything, but it's just a tip I learned all the way in middle school.
All right, would you want to ask me a question? Because since I didn't get it, I'm not going to say what I lock up.
All right. Things that would make a church a hell of a lot more fun. Things that would make church a hell of a lot more fun. So, going to church.
Well, I always thought, like when you go to the churches that do the singing and stuff, that's good. I think it would be great if you're in church and they had hot dogs, popcorn, eat. You get to eat during church.
Wavelength, because I'm thinking I'm thinking a deli number, a deli number thing with a now serving 42, and you go for communion. So you don't have to line up like when you go for communion, right? Like everybody kind of gets out of the pews and kind of goes up, lines up. No, screw that. Just have a ticket.
You know what? It would also liven up church if they had a microphone in the confessional, and then it's like, okay, shh, everybody be quiet. And then everybody hears the secret and see how many people can be quiet. Okay, that's just wrong, but it would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You just have to get some waivers first, I think.
Oh, yeah, I guess that. All right.
Next question.
It's you asking me, I think, isn't it? Was that me? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. I don't know if I'm breaking the game, but I like to riff on the things that I read as well.
Oh, this is one that you can think about. This is a good analysis one for you. Things that look better than they taste. That's a great question.
Me?
Are you saying... Did you literally say me?
I did. I mean, I don't know. I'm licking myself, and I got nothing. But I got people. Okay, my mom always tells me I look nice.
Yeah.
So
who tells you don't taste good?
Well, I don't know. I licked my hand and I got nothing. No, I'm not going to offer for you to lick my hand. That's just.
I would. I would. Be warned.
Okay.
I think it tastes pretty good. I totally licked his hand.
Yeah, that
you better do that. We'll take a picture of it later. You were the first person I've licked. Everybody thought it would be, Josh or someone. Is this me now?
No,
it's me. Okay.
Ooh, things you fantasize about.
Oh, fuck. Licking you, that's off the list now.
There you go.
Everybody knows I'm sex mad, so I fantasize about everything. I go to a movie. There's usually somebody in the movie. I always joke that I can go into a room with 3 people that I'm not attracted to, and I'll go to the hottest one in the room still. Do you know what I mean? I can still find the hottest one out of the 3 people that I'm not attracted to. I just automatically okay, he's the most attractive now, or she's the most attractive now in the room, so I'm totally thinking about you that way now. Because you're my options.
That's not you, that's guys.
Is it? Is that guys?
I've been doing that since elementary school.
Yeah, I don't want to be... because I find as I'm older, I'm attracted to more types. People that weren't on my types now are now on my types as I get older. So I'm just I guess I'm just horny all the time.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yep.
Yep. I'm sorry.
Alex is in my head right now, so he knows that this is true. We can't analyze anything
If you're the most attractive thing in the room, I've already fantasized about doing you, marrying you, and growing old with you.
Since you and I are the only 2 people in the room, I will take that as a compliment. And you should take what I just said as a compliment.
I do indeed.
Things your parents forgot to teach you about life. Ellie, why did I get this one? Oh, we still got lots of time to play this game.
Things my parents forgot to teach me about life. See, I feel like you get the easy ones, and I get like the really introspective ones. Because
well, you're the thinker more than me, but
I honestly can't think of a damn thing. Like, there's.
Did they give you the little sex talk when you were a kid? Because I would have been terrified of my parents talked to me about.
No,
sex.
they didn't. No, they didn't. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure my education and sex came from. It's gonna sound bad, but fuck it. Movies?
Cable movies or
action movies.
Action movies or like?
Well, I mean, okay. So you know, when I was a kid, I watched a lot of action movies. Like as a kid, like I didn't watch freaking Barney or whatever. I watched Schwarzenegger. My favorite movie was and still is very high up there. True Lies. So, from a very early age, I was like, hey, hero and he gets the girl. And even though, like, at that stage, I didn't know, like, what happens when he gets the girl, I sort of just kind of fuzzed over that. It's like, oh, yeah, look, they're, like, hugging, and then now they're, like, happily ever after and all that crap. And then as I grew older and I essentially took sex ed in school, or as part of, it was a gym class, they kind of filled in those blanks. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I hear it's good.
Okay. Let's be honest. I'd already experimented with masturbation by that point. So
experimented with. And no parent should be teaching you that. Like with charts, pie graphs, nothing like that.
No.
Pie graphs.
No. If there's a PowerPoint on jerking it, something is wrong in that household.
Is it my turn or yours?
I can't remember.
I just asked you.
Yes,
because you told me you get all the shit ones that have to make you think.
Well, see, this one I think you get like right away. Things you don't want to find in your vomit.
Good Lord. Why do we always have to go there? Well, obviously blood.
Right, yeah.
That would be number one. Like an organ. Because that's a pretty intense fucking throw up if you're
coughing up a lung. Yeah.
All right, I got people eating lunches while they're listening to this, so we're gonna move right on to the next one. Right. Things men will never understand.
Women.
Okay, moving on.
Done.
I think I understand.
Okay, that was the easiest one. That was the easiest one by far. Like
I think I understand them.
I don't think they understand themselves. I'm sorry, ladies. I don't think it.
He's single, ladies.
And now you know why.
Let's leave it on that, because that was a great line. I like the amuse the shit out of people was our line of the day, but that was close, wasn't it? I don't think they understand themselves. I can't believe you said that. Usually it's me saying the sexist thing.
Well,
but I didn't disagree. I just want that on the record.
Excellent. This is why we understand each other.
Yes.
So, things you say when you want him to hurry up and climax.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Mike.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go right off base here because I don't want. I've always told Mike I'm never going to talk about our bedroom adventures, so I'll go to like other people, and I don't have a lot to go by. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a dirty talker in bed, or what is it? Things you say, or like
things you say when you want him to hurry up and climax.
Well, I guess it would depend on the person, because if they like dirty talk, you could say, I'm not going to do dirty talk. I know you're all open for it, and then you just loop it, and then it's like me in bed with you. But no. I've never had that. Like, I guess you could, do a Hummer on their balls if they're into that. I've heard O Canada where it's going, Now, is that patriotic? It makes it stand up. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Oh yeah, I get applause for it, so we'll leave it to that. But
we're honestly 10 days too late.
Yeah, I know. That would have been
for Canada
very,
special,
very patriotic. Oh, we still got lots of time. This is fun.
Oh, yeah. Let's keep going.
Is it your turn?
Let's keep going, yep.
Things you shouldn't do on your honeymoon. Limits on your honeymoon? That just seems wrong. As we've established, Alex has never been on a honeymoon.
No, not.
I think-
Honestly, I'm just gonna riff on that last one. Don't blow a Hummer with the
Canada.
Because
Would you laugh more than if I did that to you?
Well, okay, no. My thinking is, okay, and maybe some people don't do this, but like my thinking is for honeymoon, you typically go out of the country.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go to like Bermuda or something, might as well mix it up a little bit. You know, taking the local sites. When in Rome, hum the Roman national anthem.
Oh, okay, that's good. So you think that we should
soak in the culture and then release.
So if we heard like Mexico, I should be humming La Cucaracha or something.
Oh, if you heard Mexico, you should be. Let me see if I can get this going. I try to do it, but I'm really not that good at an impressionist. Let me see if I can just get this going real quick.
You know, when we get the electronics out. I think on your honeymoon it should be all access by that point.
It should be what?
All access, like no limits.
Yeah.
Well, like no, obviously limits. Like you're not bringing a burro in or something if you're in Mexico. What the hell kind of honeymoon? This is why I don't go on honeymoons.
Okay. We're not past the limit of this joke. If you go to Mexico and you have to blow a Hummer, you should do this. I don't know if this.
If it doesn't sound good, we'll add it. We'll add it to it or put it during our thing because I don't know if I can hum that.
Courtesy of a stand-up comedian by the name of Pablo Francisco.
But that actually sounds like
Mexican music.
He's humming.
Oh no, it is.
No. I know it sounds like Mexican music. I'm just like,
no, it is. This guy's great for impressions. You should hear him do the movie trailer guy.
You know what? If I have one person that tries to hum on somebody's balls, I will have done a service on today's episode. Because you know there's somebody out there that's thinking, I wonder if he'd like that. You might get a wrong thing. Ask me a question. Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Yes, you got the honeymoon one.
Things you are proud of. There we go. It should be a nice easy one.
Yeah, nice. I'm going to keep this one classy because I'm not going below the waist again. I'm really proud of my life. I'm proud of how many people I've helped. This week alone, I've had so many people tell me how awesome an improv teacher I was and how I've helped them. And I'm proud of that, you know. Even when I'm depressed, I'm really still proud of that. And I'm just proud of all the connections I've made, you being one of them and stuff. And, yeah. So I'm going to keep that classy.
I'm proud to have known you.
There you go. Now let's ruin it by answering one more. Things that will kill you. I guess not the obvious things like a knife or a gun. A bullet.
Yeah. I'd like to go out on a flashlight.
What do you mean? Like just you want to combust?
Yeah.
So
why not? You gotta be exciting, right? No, but you know what? I'll probably.
This is a nice deep one for us.
Yeah.
Do you ever think of how you think you might die? Because sometimes I've had images of how I think I'll go. Like, I used to think I'd drown all the time, for the longest time. But now I think my heart will betray me and I'm going to have a heart attack.
Yeah. I think of things...
Nice fucking morbid topic.
I think of ways I wouldn't want to go out, right? I mean, well, I wouldn't want to drown, right? I wouldn't want to...
well, drowning's horrible.
I mean, if I could die quietly in my sleep, that'd be the best.
Everybody hopes for that. I think when people pray at night, the religious people, I think they pray, don't let me fall into a pool cover and get,
But honestly, I've like the actual death itself, I probably focus on the least because I either focus on I'm either not gonna get to do all the things I want to do before I die, or I'm gonna die and just devastate people who are close to me, or if I die alone, whatever. And then the consequences, other consequences of my death, right? Am I gonna leave whoever's left financially as well. If I get to that point where I'm supporting people, am I going to leave them off financially, or am I going to bankrupt them? Am I going to leave incriminating evidence on my hard drives?
I like even in death, you're still thinking about all this stuff, but I do too.
You have to plan for it.
Do you have a porn buddy?
No.
Like when you die, you have a friend that comes over and gets rid of all the porn on your computer. Or
no, I was gonna put that on my
magazine. yeah.
I was gonna put that in my will. If in case of death, please remove hard drives and destroy according to NSA specifications. So DGOS with the appropriate magnetic field, and then crush until plates are fully shattered.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, this is a lovely story, but when we had to clean up my dad's house, there was a moment that, you're dealing with your father's passing, and then suddenly it's like, did you know Dad was into Asian porn? Because we found all these videotapes of, Asian girls.
That's
kind of kills a moment.
Yep. Nice, dignified, mourning period. Not so much.
Okay, we talk way too much death. Let's do one more.
Well, okay.
Oh, it's a positive one, maybe.
All right.
Things you would like to try. And a Hummer on your nuts does not count.
Dang.
Unless you can do it on your own, but if I did that, I'd be rolling.
Yeah, and
I'd never leave the house.
I just worry I'd be breaking my neck.
Do you have anything you still want to try? I'm sure there's a couple things.
Well, actually, I'll go serious and not super crazy or deep or whatever. 2 weeks ago, for the Canada Day weekend, we went to the Toronto Islands. I just went to a beach for the afternoon.
The nude beach that's there?
Yes, we were in the non-nude section.
Okay.
And the nude portion was kind of empty.
Okay.
Actually, the entire beach was kind of empty, but we were close to the nude beach. And it actually went because the change room was so far away. The first time I kind of just braved it and just went to the change room, which was a horrible fucking idea because the thing was just a mess and everything was closed down. So when it came time to change back, I was like, fuck that, I'm not walking all that way just to change in that pigsty. So I went to the nude beach section. I found a tree and a area that was a bit more sheltered and just changed because fuck, if people were gonna walk in on me, I was gonna be in the nude beach anyway. And I'm like, you know what? If you want to see my crack that bad, have at it.
It's not my crack I'm worried about.
But
so what you were leading to something before I interrupted.
Yeah. So what I wanted to try is not the nude beach, but actually when we were there was a guy that was I later found out that the sport is called kite surfing.
Okay.
So what it is the guy's on a smaller-ish surfboard type thing, but it's got foot straps. They don't have to, but this one had foot straps, and he was being propelled by a kite thing that he was harnessed to.
Neat.
Which would look super awesome. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I go on and on about sailing. I fucking love sailing. How I think it's the most freeing thing in the world.
Do you sail?
I did when I was young through cadets because I got to do it for free because sailing is freaking expensive.
Yeah,
otherwise.
It's not one of those cheap hobbies. That...
I want to get back into it. I just haven't had the chance to. I haven't had the money a lot of years, and I just haven't had the chance to. Hopefully next year. I've been at a steady job for a while, so hopefully I'll be able to do that.
That's
but yeah,
cool.
I saw this kite everything, and I'm like, wow, this is I'm not gonna say it's or more awesome than sailing, but I'd say it's definitely just kind of trying to picture it, right? You're flying along the water on this board, and the thing that's propelling you is just this kite up in the air that's kind of dragging you along. And you jump and do flips and shit, and if you're really pro, but even if you're just kind of going along, you're going along at a wicked pace, right? If you got a nice wind, and that just looked amazing.
Awesome.
So I think yeah, when I get a bit more in shape, I might
and just sailing in general, you'd like to.
Well, sailing, it doesn't count as a try because I tried it before. Sailing, I want to get into, but I want to try this kite surfing thing as well.
And that's a nice positive way to leave it. I hope you had a great time.
Oh, it was awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I told you it wasn't going to be too deep. You're going to throw nasty things at the end.
Yeah, we did.
And you'll have to drop by again. I had a lot of time. I always have a good time talking with you, whether go deep or it usually winds up being funny and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you, Alex, for being my co-host.
All right. Thank you for having me. Have a good whatever part of the day you're listening to, all. And I will see you around.
And I will talk to you all very, very soon.